honestly,
Like I could eat a Taco Bell taco walking.
I think we're missing the important question here. That only
It's not
Shannon
real
Q can
food.
answer. Shannon
No,
Q,
it's not.
is taco a sandwich?
No. No.
Okay. Why is it so hard to understand what a sandwich is? It is two or more pieces of bread that are sandwiched, some sort of material in between them. The material in between it doesn't matter. It can be soup for all it matters. As long as there's two pieces of bread, that's a sandwich.
I have been enjoying Mr.
Is it-
trolling of Shannon and Kyle.
Is the
He
submarine sandwich?
made me craft dinner, and I'll never fucking forgive him for that.
So Jim, is an ice cream sandwich a sandwich?
No, because it's not bread.
No.
Ooh.
Despite it being called a
disagree.
fucking sandwich?
No, because
It's called a
Yeah,
sandwich.
you can call whatever the fuck you want. I can call you a sandwich if I want to.
It's got
But I'm
carbohydrates.
not advertising myself as a sandwich.
And
What
then
do you call an ice cream sandwich then? Are you calling it something else?
Like, that's
Look,
a
yeah.
sandwich.
I just need to point out
you're an
real
actual
quick.
fucking sandwich.
I just need to point out real quick that I'm really, really happy that C. McRae is not in this conversation.
Everybody is always.
I love you,
So
Steve.
Shannon, what is your
Every
definition
time.
of an atheist?
I swear to fuck. I'm leaving.
I just want to let you guys know what the
320.
scholastic definition of an atheist is. I'm going to pull up the SCP for y'all right here.
Okay, well that's my cue. To say, hey,
You
Ocean,
believe
go
that
fuck
sub?
yourself. And
Was that
also,
a pun on
everybody have a
yourself?
good night.
I used to know what an atheist was until I watched
Night,
YouTube.
Shannon.
Hey, Ocean, is
Talk
it
to me.
a sub sandwich or a grinder, whatever you call it?
Say what?
Oh my god. Goodbye,
sub?
everybody. I'm legit leaving.
Good night, Shannon.
Bye,
Good night, Shannon.
Good night, Shannon. Thank you. Oh
Nobody
man,
didn't actually chase her off. All right. So Jim, what were you saying?
Oh, is a sub a sandwich or a grinder, whatever you call it?
A sub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sub. I consider a sub a sandwich, but I also don't hold to the same definition that you do about sandwiches.
Well, do you cut the bread all the way through, or do you
No.
leave it hinged? Okay, then that's a fold over.
Okay, hold on.
But
I
is it a
think it's
fold over? It's a
hold
fold
on.
over what?
So,
I think
Is it a
here-
fold
here's
over?
the-
Is it a
okay.
wait? Hold on. It's a fold over what?
sandwich.
You've never heard fold over sandwich? What is an is an open face sandwich a sandwich?
Fold over
I'm just saying we call all these things sandwiches,
It can't be a fold
Okay,
over
okay,
sandwich.
no.
and yet for some reason they're not sandwiches. Like an open face sandwich is
hot
a
dog
sandwich.
Is a hot
So-
dog a sandwich?
Right.
Okay.
I think a
so,
hot dog
so
is a sandwich. Yeah.
here's
Hold
the
on,
thing.
hold on.
Okay, hold on, Chris, hold on. Okay, this can be solved. Okay, like I'm gonna borrow from Aaron Ra's book on this one here. This is the phylogeny sandwich challenge. Okay, is that we can talk about a proto sandwich, like the classic notion of what a sandwich is, which is just a bread, some meat, cheese, and another piece of bread on top of it. And anything that was descended from that or directly influenced by that basic design would fall under the category of a sandwich. Because you never stop being a sandwich. It doesn't matter how much you change, you're always going to be a sandwich. Now,
It is.
now when we
It
talk
is
about
a. All right.
burritos,
So at that point,
see,
you would
burritos,
say.
for example, hold on.
What?
Burritos, for
Okay.
example, are not influenced by the proto sandwich. Those are a special creation on its own. They part of their own little thing there. So because it doesn't fit within the phylogeny of what a sandwich is or where it came from, a burrito is not a sandwich.
Well, no, okay,
That's the best argument I've ever fucking heard. So
the
that would
burrito
mean,
sandwich was made with unleavened bread. Okay, so the bread that we use.
according to, I want to back up on this. So, if according to the rules of evolution and such, that we never have a descendant of a sandwich that is not a sandwich. Therefore, submarine sandwich being an evolution of a sandwich is still a sandwich. Hot dog is a sandwich. An ice cream sandwich is also a sandwich because they're all descended from the sandwich.
Let me point out that fallacy views. Are all of our ancestors Homo sapiens?
What?
No.
Are all of our ancestors humans?
But
Or
is
are they
everything that comes? Don't go creationist on me. Everything that we reproduces from us going forward, all of our descendants will be human.
going forward? Yes. So going
Right.
forward-
The question of the ice cream sandwich: does the ice cream sandwich predate the sandwich?
No.
I don't know.
Does
if
not.
everything
No,
going
because
It
forward
is a
would be human.
descendant. It is not an ancestor. It is a descendant of the sandwich.
In
Point of
2
order. Point of
million years, will we
point
still
of
be
wait,
human?
What is this proto?
wait. Point of order. All right. So, all descendants of the prototype sandwich.
Proto sandwich, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is a man-woman sandwich, is that a descendant from the prototype sandwich?
Oh, okay. So, Ocean, what is this proto sandwich? Can you describe it to me?
I think that the proto sandwich would be probably, and in theory, 2 pieces of bread with something in the middle.
Oh, 2 pieces of bread with something in the middle.
Yes.
That's the way
Anything
that
that, but the descendants, the ideological descendants of the sandwich
are
would
mutt.
be sandwiches
They are
because
corruption.
because the
I'm a
sandwich
purist.
the sandwich itself is a social
I have
construct.
started
What
that.
about when
You
the
are
sandwich
applying an
evolves
arbitrary
from
rule to what a sandwich
tortilla
is.
into a
I'm a
lettuce
sandwich
wrap?
nationalist. Sue me.
So here's the thing. So here's the thing. Like, the concept of putting some type of filling between some type of like baked product like a bread or something like that is not a new concept.
First only man, first bachelor.
Okay. Like we do have like pierogies, for example, but pierogies have their own phylogeny. They have their own descendants, like that. They didn't descend or branch off from the sandwich family, so a pierogi would never be considered a sandwich, even though, or like a calzone would never be a sandwich,
right? Or
even though.
What about a chicken wrap? One with lettuce and one with a tortilla. What's the difference? Same ingredients
So
inside.
a sandwich. So a wrap would be a sandwich, but a burrito is not.
Why is a burrito not a sandwich, and why is
well, because I don't think that it followed from the sandwich. It wasn't influenced directly by prior sandwiches.
But
I think it came about on its own.
But
it was influenced by the taco, which is influenced by the sandwich.
Well, burritos predate sandwiches, though.
What?
Burritos predate sandwiches.
No, I don't think they do.
Yes, they do. The sandwich wasn't invented until the beginning of the 1900s.
Okay, so sandwiches and burritos might have a common ancestor, but not all burritos are sandwiches.
Are all sandwiches burritos?
It's like they're a cousin.
Hang on, the very first. The very first bread was unleavened.
I'll point out real quick with the ice cream sandwich.
And they would have folded it, right?
The ice cream sandwich has wafers on the outside, so it is a baked product.
Yeah, I would say that an ice cream sandwich is a descendant of the sandwich family.
Okay, hold on. Look, I think we're going too far on this, and I wouldn't. I think maybe we can all agree that they're all Eurocarriers. Also, I would like someone to fight me on when we're talking about subs. I think they're a subcategory of bread or sandwich.
A subcategory of well, I mean, then if you're a subcategory of sandwich, then it would still be a sandwich.
Wait a minute, subs are a subcategory?
I agree with you entirely that they're a subcategory.
What is the end result? What's the end result of evolution of the sandwich? Is it wrapped in a vegetable?
It never stops being a sandwich. It never stops being a sandwich. Remember.
Where's it going? Where's the sandwich evolutionary line headed?
I guarantee you that if we do a DNA analysis, we will find that tortillas are not as closely related to modern day sandwiches as the proto sandwiches are to modern day sandwiches.
There we go. I agree with that.
Hey, how about hamburgers and cheeseburgers? Are they sandwiches?
Absolutely.
I think the pita bread family would be very closely related, given that they came from the Greeks.
But they're differently on menus.
Well,
there's sandwiches and then there's burgers.
I mean, some menus are made by anti-sandwichists, and they're just compliant.
It's true. Yeah, it really depends on the menu, kind of like the dictionary.
Hey, is there anybody here that's a sandwich?
Like
a follower,
sandwich?
not a sandwich. No, a follower of asandwichism.
I think we would have to boot them from the chat.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm a sandwichist.
You might have people that say, well, the platonic value of what a sandwich is, the ideal sandwich does not exist. And that
oh my God.
We were having a master class on the sandwich debate here on the Radio.
This is going on Twitter tomorrow.
Now wait a minute. Is there a non-contingent sandwich? Like if you go back far enough, like
you might be able to say
cause of the sandwich.
Yes,
you might be able to say
and
that
I'll
all
explain why.
sandwiches are based on the ideal form of the sandwich.
But
that all sandwiches are an attempt
that's good.
at
I like that.
the ideal form.
There, and I will say that sandwiches developed from tacos because the very first anything with bread and filling was a flat, unleavened piece of bread with the filling in it, and then it folded in half.
No, I gotta say to Jim.
No, but that only proves common ancestry. That doesn't make it a sandwich. That is common ancestry to a sandwich.
It doesn't make it a sandwich, but
The bread on top and the bread on the bottom with something in the middle is only 6,000 years old.
I think we all need to listen to Jim.
Are you a young
Jim?
I'm really sick of these
I'm a sandwich creationist.
arguments.
You're a young sandwich creationist. You heretic fuck.
I'm holding to the position currently. I think that any attempt at the ideal of a sandwich is a sandwich.
Why am I hearing Godzilla's heartbeat?
It may be, here's a big question: is a Pop-Tart a sandwich?
No, I think that the pastry tree is different from the sandwich tree.
Yeah.
Ooh. But I think they're related.
But it is a bread product, and something in the middle. So
you see, Ocean.
No, it's not bread. It's not bread.
Ocean.
You don't think that what do you think a fucking Pop-Tart is?
I think
it's
the Pop-Tart is
a bread. It is a pastry. That is bread.
But that's not bread.
It is a bread product. What are you kidding me?
Pop-Tart.
No, everything baked with a filling.
It's a crust product.
It's a Pop-Tart is the
What's crust?
Is
crust on a bread?
You're all missing the most vital point, and that is how does the white bread kind become the wheat bread kind, become the rye bread kind?
Because I'll
answer
that. I'll tell you, and it's because if you look at all of the baked goods with fillings, you can tell, and you can look and see that they all develop from a certain kind of pastry. Okay.
What is this shit kind?
It started with the kind
There's
that
somebody
tastes
saying we need to
the
debate this
kind
on
that
MTV.
tastes shittier, and then the kind that tastes healthy.
Jim, an MTT debate is a hot dog a sandwich.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
I will gladly represent sandwich phylogeny. I will go over sandwich phylogeny
I'll do it. Stoneface Killer. You won't see a god debate with me in it that's serious. Like I will just.
I'd do it. I'd love to do
I'm in.
I would have to.
Make this happen, Jim. Make this happen.
So like years ago, there was a debate between Chris Moudy, if you guys know who that is, and who was it? Another guy. It was hosted by I'm trying to remember what the channel was, but it was on. It was kind of making fun of all the debates that happened in the community, and it was whether or not what constitutes a pizza.
Okay.
I'll see if I can I'll find the link. I'll post it up here.
Is the calzone?
Thank you. I heard people talking about cauliflower dough pizza today.
No, none of that.
That's not a pizza.
It was a great debate.
Anything else is not a pizza.
So
You
Sokka,
have to have
wait, hold on. I want to ask
breading
Sokka a question.
bread
Hold on.
dough.
Sokka, is a calzone a pizza?
Yes,
No.
a calzone is a descendant of the pizza. It's part of the
Descendant,
pizza
yes.
family. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone who says otherwise is lying.
You have to follow the rules of phylogeny. You have to
That
follow
is
the
the
rules of
Mormonism
phylogeny.
of pizza.
They overdid it, and eventually they became a calzone.
That
Okay,
is the Mormonism of pizza.
Sokka is a Stromboli a pizza.
Did you make that
Same
up? I have
thing
no
as
idea what the
a
fuck.
Is
Did I
a
make that up?
cannoli a taco?
Wait a minute. He's claiming to be a phylogeny expert on sandwiches and pizza, and he doesn't know what a Stromboli is?
Hang on.
So, show me the transitional form. Show me the transitional form. I don't believe that the transitional form exists.
What's the difference between a hot dog?
I mean,
I think a Stromboli would be a pizza.
What about
I
a hot
think
dog?
somebody pulled the pizza out of the oven too soon. It was too
depends.
hot. They flipped it over. It fell on top of each other.
Now,
No,
hold on.
came
Now
up
we're getting
with,
into. I think that a hot pocket. It depends on the hot pocket. If it's a pizza hot pocket, I think it would be on the same level as like a Liger or something like that. It's just like a hybrid creature. You're not going to see like a pizza hot pocket reproducing on its own, but you can
But it's
make
calzone.
Called a pizza, be pizza flavored.
Yeah, I mean, it is an image. It's like I said, it's like a liger. It's not really like part of the pizza family. It's just like a strange relative.
Yeah, it's lineage stops there. There's no descendants from the Hot Pocket. No one's looking at the Hot Pocket and being like, hey, we can improve upon this.
It's more like an inflatable tiger. It's just a cruel impersonation.
It's like a mule, you know.
I have to put in.
Yeah, they're sterile. That's what I'm saying. It's like they're not. It's like one of those like hybrid species.
Like
it's
a
just like
zorro.
they're a natural mistake. They're at some point, but they're kind of useful. Some of them can reproduce, but it shouldn't exist, and that's what a pizza Hot Pocket is.
It's a good point because Hot Pockets are evidence that not every food mutation is beneficial.
Correct.
God damn it, man.
Well, and pizza is evidence of that as well because it has evolved pineapple now.
Oh, now we're talking.
Not every evolution. Like some mutations are mistakes, but they manage to survive. Like this.
Like Christianity.
It's just adapting to its environment. All right.
Shots fired. Anyway, so the pineapple pizza is definitely an example of this, of like a mutation that shouldn't exist, shouldn't have survived. It's against all like moral understanding. However, it has found an environment in which it's able to
not only
perpetuate
survive,
itself. Jim, what do you fucking say?
The environment doesn't give a fuck
it's
about
like the killer bee, right?
Yeah,
or a better example would be like a Hawaiian pizza is like a dog. It's artificial selection, but you know that a pug wouldn't actually survive in nature.
Correct. There's no way that a pineapple pizza would survive in the wild. But in captivity. Julie, you're echoing hard, and I can't hear anybody anymore.
Wow, Maynard, yeah.
I'm muting.
Yeah,
what is the platypus of the baked goods world?
Oh, because that's like that actually goes back to like
something that's naturally occurring but still kind of fucked.
Jeez, what's like an old food that like we eat but we just don't know why?
Probably something Greek.
Pigs in a blanket.
No, whatever. Kolaches are delicious.
Are pigs in a blanket sandwiches?
No, kolaches. They are kolaches.
What about a cannoli?
Oh, I got it. Like fruitcake.
Cannoli?
Maybe it's White Castle. Is it White Castle?
Yeah, White Castle.
If you call cannoli a pizza, then, I mean, what is this world coming to?
I don't say it's a pizza, but it's wrapped in a dough.
So do you think it's a sandwich?
Is it it's not a stromboli. Is it a
burrito?
I don't know. Maybe
why can't it just be a fucking cannoli?
Pastries. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Pastries are delicious.
I love them.
There's a British dessert called the spotted dick that so far is among my contenders for being the platypus of the baked goods world.
That would be a good one.
Bread pudding.
Oh.
Let's see.
Is bread pudding a sandwich?
Ooh, bread pudding. No more than Yorkshire pudding.
No. Yes, and no. Bread pudding is a sandwich soup.
Sandwich soup. Hello, Martha.
Hello.
Someone's saying straight up in the chat, pastry is not bread.
What does the fossil record say about the sandwich?
Hi, Martha.
I think there were definitely some hominids having this debate 70,000 years ago.
Now you talk about sandwich. Talk about
Let's
sandwich.
See what Wikipedia says about the sandwich. A sandwich.
You talk about sandwich fossilization, though. Now, if a submarine sandwich, like one of those 6-footers you can get from Subway, if it was petrified on end and crossed strata.
No. Hang on. First of all, tell me one instance where you made a sandwich and just fucking left it there.
No. Jim, I'll give you an example. I made a sandwich. I was walking through a bog. I tripped. I fell. I dropped my fucking sandwich, and I fucked off. That's
you didn't find your sandwich?
No, because it was in a bog, asshole. Like, I just went straight into that shit. I dropped my 6-foot sandwich.
Okay, so Jim, you drop your sandwich in a bog. You retrieve the sandwich and brush it off and eat it?
I'm not retrieving a sandwich from a bog.
Are you like Joey from Friends or something?
No,
like,
I think even Joey would consider a meatball sub contaminated once it fell into a bog.
Yeah.
First of all, with a sandwich, did I make the sandwich in the bog, or did I make the sandwich and then walk to the bog? Because that's not happening.
This is such a fucking white bread conversation.
Yeah, and you guys are all missing the fact that we have proof that dinosaurs and sandwiches existed at the same time. You need to look at the Ica stones and know truth.
I mean, didn't they made sandwiches on the Flintstones?
Brontosaurus burgers.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Checkmate.
Wow.
Martha just checkmated. Martha just checkmated.
Down.
Is that a coincidence that Dr. Dino and Dino are spelled the same?
You're getting into the philosophical questions now, Maynard.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about 06452-017.
I'm still stuck on the fact that Ocean thinks hot dogs are sandwiches.
Okay, so
I will defend that they are sandwiches.
Just on the topic of the dinosaurs.
Oh, that was all wrong.
Ocean believes in more than one sandwich, though, right?
I'm polysandwichist.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Point.
Oh shit, man.
Hey, wait.
I can see the title of this live stream: sandwiches and dick pics.
If they are poly sandwiches, does that mean that they have more than one piece of bread? And if they have more than one piece of bread, are they called heroes?
Well, most of them have two.
Like a Big Mac.
Oh, come on, you missed that. Come on, that.
I got it.
Well, guys, with all this bickering, though, I think that we should just stop for a second and read 1 Corinthians 11:34. If you're so hungry that you can't wait to be served, go home and get a sandwich. But by no means risk turning this meal into eating and drinking binge or a family squabble.
And the following verse, it says, if there's a woman there, have her make it.
By the way, that's an actual Bible verse. I just want to point that out. That's fucking hilarious.
Didn't Jesus turn like two
you said 1 Corinthians
sandwiches into 5,000 fish sandwiches?
1 Corinthians 11:34.
I was already on 11.
You can't use that in your debate, Ocean.
If there's a woman there, there's a woman there, she should make it. Jim, I'm appalled at you. Don't trigger Julie and Martha.
Oh, please. I don't cook anyhow.
Why?
Well, Julie's not technically a woman.
I know. I was busting Maynard's balls.
Well, if either of them were,
if you want to talk scripturally, you can talk like Corinthians 14, 34, and 35.
And for anybody in the audience that doesn't know, we are referencing a known apologist with the sandwich comments towards women.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, before we move on with the conversation, I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm still on the road, driving back.
Are you gonna Are you gonna make a sandwich?
I mean, maybe, but I'm not gonna tell you guys about it.
Whatever, you're gonna go home and
we all desire sandwiches.
I have a sandwich in my fridge. I can go get my sandwich anytime I want.
Look,
go get your sandwich right now.
You're all invited over for sandwiches, but I'm not gonna deliver them.
I smoked 2 blunts and ate nothing. I'm ready to eat the fridge.
Yeah.
Good night, Greg.
Yeah, have a nice night, Greg. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. I hope you didn't take offense to everyone jumping on here and giving you our 2 cents. We care about you. We appreciated that you had the debate. We hope you grow from this. I think I'm gonna check out all of your your whole channel, because I just wrote a script like a week and a half ago about Matt Powell. So I definitely want to see what you have to say, and I've heard your name before. I just haven't had time to check out your stuff. So, but
awesome.
Thank you for having me on tonight. We'll get in touch soon, and I hope everyone has a good night.
All right, yeah. Have a good night.
See you, Greg.
Great.
I just want to point out that I wrote a script about Matt Powell as well, but it's / fiction, and he probably wouldn't appreciate it.
Hey, Ocean.
Peace out, guys.
Ocean. I just came up I thought of the definitive platypus of sandwiches.
Okay.
Remember that crazy shit that KFC put out a few years ago, where it was a sandwich, but the bread was in the middle and the outside was 2 chicken breasts.
Yes, I remember that.
That's like these dumbass Snapchat kids making their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches inside out.
That doesn't have bread on the outside though.
No, it's not on the outside. The bread's in the middle, and the chicken was on the outside.
So it's not necessarily. I don't know if
on the outside.
Right.
All right, Ocean.
So the sandwich that I would say is the weird one of the sandwich would be, and this is a thing. This is a product at McDonald's, the McGangbang, which is I think yes. It is two buns with a meat patty, and a meat patty in the middle is a chicken patty.
Yes, with cheese and pickles.
That's a thing.
But they don't really call it the McGangbang.
Yes, they do. It's a
real thing.
It's a secret menu item at McDonald's. It's a secret menu item at McDonald's. You can pull up to most McDonald's.
All right, just for you, Ocean. I'm going to go to my local McDonald's tomorrow, and I'm going to film myself asking for a McGangbang.
You can. All right. Now here's the thing. Your local McDonald's may not. Hold on, Maynard. Your local McDonald's may not be a participating McDonald's. However, you can find videos on YouTube of people ordering the McGangbang and successfully retrieving the described sandwich that I just gave you.
Okay, just a quick warning, just to the viewing audience. If you're going to search this up, make sure you're in incognito mode and save search is on.
Yeah, and then I would think that the McGangbang would only be available at the Sodom and Gomorrah McDonald's.
Well, maybe yours is the Sodom and Gomorrah McDonald's.
In Michigan?
Do you know how salty those fries are?
Yeah, but which McDonald's are the 2 angels showing up to?
Martha, what were you going to ask me?
Oh, I was going to ask you, is an Oreo cookie a sandwich?
An Oreo cookie a sandwich? I would say yes, an Oreo cookie is a sandwich.
No, pastry.
Did you guys miss that? Sodom and Gomorrah, salty? Come on.
I got you. I just didn't think it was funny.
I'm just now getting it. I'm slow on it, and I thought it was funny.
I'm sorry. When I hear Sodom and Gomorrah, my mind goes straight to why would the dude give up his daughters? And I can't think of nothing else.
Wait a minute. You're getting off the sandwich.
It is polite when you have a bunch of rapists out the front door. You don't throw your guest out.
Hey, if you pinch your testicle between your thighs, is that a sandwich?
And those guests are.
Nobody wants to answer that. Nobody's going to answer that.
No, it's all meat.
It depends on whether or not it depends on whether or not someone is eating it.
That's all so true.
Wow.
The Fable's getting mad at me.
I feel better.
If I wear bread, am I a sandwich? I think so. It depends on whether or not someone is eating you, though.
Hey, wait a minute. Are those guys that walk around like advertising for like restaurants and they're wearing like a sandwich costume? Are they a sandwich?
It's called a sandwich board, right?
No, well, I'm not talking about sandwich boards. I'm talking about the people that actually get dressed up in a costume of food, like they're dressed like a hot dog or a sandwich.
I think
are they a sandwich?
They clearly want it.
I think it depends on how they identify.
I think they're pro sandwich.
I think that they are.
Our Oreo's a sandwich. Well, ask the Oreo.
I think they are bread, knowing.
Wait a minute. So if they're asking for it, I have every right to smear my mayonnaise on them. That is what you're saying.
Absolutely, mayonnaise, mustard, whatever, because they're putting it out there. If
condiments are important.
Yeah, you want to be safe sandwich, so use condiments for sure.
Yeah,
I was coming close to making that joke, like it was forming in my head, but you got it out there first, and I congratulate you.
Oh man,
I was on the way there. I just
then you take her home from the bar and you find out she's pumpernickel, you know.
Ooh. I'd really like to pump her nickel.
Oh man.
Oh man, this is great.
Did you just rate it a 5 or?
What is going on in this chat?
I rated her snatch a 5.
I was getting tired like an hour ago, and I'm just laughing.
Pump her nickel. Jeez, Jim, where did you rated her a 5? That's great.
Somebody in the chat said, if Oreos are a sandwich, ice cream sandwiches must be a sandwich.
Oreos are not a sandwich.
I have long held the position that the ice cream sandwich is a sandwich now.
It's a sandwich.
Okay.
Oreos are sold on the what aisle? The cookie aisle. They're not sold
on the package
aisle.
it says cookie.
I know, but hold on, Jim. The problem with that argument though is where's the sandwich aisle?
There is no sandwich aisle.
Exactly.
In the deli. You ever been to the front of Walmart? You know they have the pre-made sandwiches.
Yeah, but on the package.
Yeah, absolutely. So why aren't the Oreos there?
And gas stations definitely have.
Are you saying that the one of the prerequisites to be a sandwich is that you have to be that you have to put it in a fridge or keep it cool?
So somebody says, "Hey, I'm gonna get some food. What do you want?" You say a sandwich. You say, "What kind?" You say, the chocolate sweet one with the white cream."
Hey, check it out though. Check it out. All right, now, is the sandwich designed, or did the bread and the meat and the cheese way back when did it just kind of come together and
like in a bio sandwich?
No, they don't.
Oh no, see. See, the problem is that hold on. We're talking about sandwich evolution here, but you keep on changing topic to sandwich genesis, which is complete.
Yeah, well, but it could be but it could be
not only that,
but it could be designed though. It could be designed.
But he is talking about intelligent filling.
No,
yes.
I do. I think that whether or not the whole thing about a sandwich genesis is, I do agree that a design requires a designer here, and that's absolutely the case. So the sandwich is definitely created, but whether or not that creation actually is from the human or is it from a divine sandwich form, that's another question entirely. However, what I do want to point out,
sandwich creator.
The design sandwich has a form, but you can't see it.
Did a sandwich?
Right, the form exists platonically, and that's something that's very important to note.
Right.
That
Well,
any creation of a sandwich is the imitation of that form.
The original sandwich creator actually expressed itself in 3 different ways as
there's no original sandwich creator.
All I hear is infinite sandwich regression here.
The sandwich form is eternal.
What's the cosmological argument for the sandwich creator?
I'm not necessarily arguing for the creator in this instance. I'm saying that the sandwich form is something that was always pre-existent. It is never something that was created or
an infinite sandwich.
Jim hit on a legitimate point there.
Regression.
No, it's not. It's not, because what Ocean's talking about is what's known as the unbaked baker.
I would like any of y'all to demonstrate how a sandwich can come out of an explosion.
I'd like you to demonstrate to me how a sandwich came from.
I just want
explosion.
I don't think that a sandwich can come from a non-sandwich.
Yeah, I don't either.
Sandwiches don't come from explosions.
Hey, that's a straw man.
I'm looking at a box of Pop-Tart box on I looked it up. It doesn't even say sandwich on the box. It says toaster pastries.
It's toaster pastries that happen to be a sandwich. And if you look at the picture that I'm posting right here,
that's a sandwich.
These are clearly sandwiches, and it says on the fucking box, sandwich.
Yeah. Okay, so just because it says on the box,
I trust the experiences of the Oreo sandwich.
Well, and infinite wisdom of the marketing campaign.
Yes, it is. Okay. It is so written.
If your child,
it is so written.
If your child eats lunch and you say you can have a sandwich,
you have to understand. For it is written, Klondike sandwiches.
Yeah. There are no Pop-Tart sandwiches.
Wait. But hold on a second. Are you guys saying that it's impossible? Are you guys saying that it's impossible for a ultimate baker to not be able to reveal his message through us?
I think that the ultimate baker.
What I'm saying is that he revealed it to us in the way that we need it.
Right, but it has been so revealed. It has been so revealed in this experience.
Yeah, because he had to need it before he could
bake
it.
Simply expressing that experience of that revelation to us in their package.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and it has been revealed by the Holy Baker to these.
Yeah.
Jim's
Company,
pun.
and the Klondike Company is giving it to us now.
Jim's pun just flew through the room and nobody got it. He needs it. He has to knead the bread before he bakes it.
That's right. That's right. And you know, it's great because if you look at it, you know, God molds us and he shapes us into the way that we want, and he puts us into a certain loaf pan. And we might not all look the same, but we all serve his divine purpose.
Yes, and we all know the Holy Baker lives outside of time, and he works in mysterious ways.
No, it's not that they lives outside of time. The Holy Baker is simply not subject to time. There's no living outside of time. It just isn't subject to it at all.
I mean, and sure, like, you know, 30% of the bread ever made has been burnt or dropped on the floor, but you know, but that doesn't mean that he's not an all good baker.
Correct. The problem of burnt bread is something that anybody that's a believer in the Holy Baker has to contend with. However, we must understand that and sometimes the burnt bread is formed into a sandwich, and that's something that the Holy Baker does not smile upon. Because
okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, if it's a divinity, Look, if it's a divinity that created the sandwich, then how come it took centuries for him to come up with yeast for the bread?
That's irrelevant.
Hold on a second. The problem is that
it just wasn't revealed to the people until it was.
The thing with time, okay, the thing with like time is merely just a measurement of baked goods, you know, going through that stage there. You know, that's like when you're talking about like God, you have to be talking about some type of meta baked time. Okay, we're not talking about the same type of time.
Right. So
hold on a second. Hold on. I need to quote. I need to quote scripture that blessed are the yeast of you.
Well, right, and you know what, Ocean, check it out. You're right. It took a while because then he sent yeast down here and it was risen.
Okay, so like, if you go back to the very beginning, back to the kitchen, there was nothing there. On the first day, God created the oven. On the second day, He created the gas. On the third day, He created the yeast. On the fourth day, He created the flour. On the fifth day, He created water. And on the sixth day, He turned the gas on. There was a big bang, and then from there,
and then He had to rebuild the whole kitchen.
Well, no, because there was just an expansion due to the yeast, and it's just an infinite expansion. Just he's just letting us ride.
I've always considered it more akin to necromancy, though. Because
well, you know, for those who wait upon the Lord, that they shall renew their strength and they shall rise up as eagles. Yeah,
I gotta tell you, I think
I will say though.
In John 6:35, Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will not hunger.
Oh, shit.
That's right.
But he also said man cannot live on bread alone. Which is, hold on.
When he created all this, and then he created the first sandwich, did he take a little riblet out of the sandwich and make when he created the first sandwich, did he take a little riblet out of the sandwich and make like a slider to keep the sandwich company?
Listen to me.
The McRib is delicious, by the way.
Jesus said you cannot live on bread alone, and that is the argument for sandwiches.
Are we having the Council of Nicaea?
Yes.
I think you guys are missing the important topic of free will, because you know when you're making like muffins or something, you put all the muffins, you know, the stuff in the cups the same way, but some of them rise different, some of them don't. But the baker loves the ones that don't rise. You know, they're gonna rise. Some of them rise the way they're supposed to, but these ones over here, they're gonna rise their own way.
No, but Martha, you're missing the point that if you don't rise, it's your own choice. You're condemning yourself to the waste bin.
Well,
okay, it's not the baker's choice to throw out the unraised muffins.
Right.
It's the it's the choice of the muffin not to rise.
The thing is that the gift of yeast is available to all those who will accept it. You just simply have to believe and accept the yeast into your heart, and only then can you rise.
Gotcha.
I will say that I first got into baking.
Yeast.
I first got into baking as a side gig from practicing necromancy, because I found that it had a lot of crossover, because I could raise the bread.
Raise the bread. Oh my god.
Oh my
gosh.
Well, wait.
What about
but Ocean? What about the yeastless breads? Like a non-bread doesn't have yeast.
Bread.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, but sometimes you don't get to raise the bread, and not all of the bread can be raised, and sometimes you wind up with mistakes.
Bread.
Are you saying that all those that advocate for Bannock are heathens?
No, because if
they are not true breads.
If you remember, the first one to deny yeastus was PETA.
If you eat a
wait a minute, I thought PETA formed a Church of Yeastus.
No, it was actually before the cock crowed. PETA denied yeastus 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Before the cock was sent.
Yes. By cock they mean the kitchen timer.
Oh man, I am.
Or the doubting doughboy that stuck his fingers in the pie to see if it was ready.
That pie is a pastry, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Pie is obviously not a sandwich.
And
no, pie is a sandwich.
No, it's not, Ocean.
Hey, what about
sandwich? I am fucking chaotic evil. When
oh my God!
the sandwich definition.
A pie is not a sandwich.
What happened?
A pie is absolutely a sandwich, as it is two bread It is something between bread products.
It's a dualist thing.
I actually think that we need to look at the problem of original sin in this bread world in which it came. We know the consequences, of course. Women have yeast infections, and guys have to carry around these donuts.
Hey, what about when Judas betrayed Yeastus for 30 White Castle burgers?
Yep. And he
paid for it.
He ate all of them, and he fell forward, and his gut spilled out.
So is a cake a sandwich, Ocean?
A cake sandwich?
Pastry.
It depends on if there's a piece of bread on top and on the bottom.
That's a prison thing. Cake sandwich.
Well, what if you cut a piece of cornbread down the middle and you put a piece of cheese in there? Is that a sandwich?
Yep.
Yes.
What?
Yep. It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
You are.
Pie is not a sandwich.
It's in the name. It's called cornbread, Jim.
I definitely think we're getting into the realm of bread apologetics here.
No, we're getting into the realm of heresy right now, and somebody's about to get excommunicated.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Like, because if there's any symbol of the Holy Trinity, it's the fact that it's 2 pieces of bread with meat or some substance in between them.
That Ricing Creed shit is bullshit.
But if anybody advocates for an open-faced sandwich, they're actually denying the Trinity.
I come from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Sandwich.
Open
It's the Father, the bun. It's the Father, the bun, and the Holy Toast.
You know what? The problem with you Universalists, Ocean, is that you think that just a piece of meat on a plate could be considered a sandwich.
I mean, it can be argued that it's an open-faced sandwich.
But it's called sandwich. It's literally in the name. Open-faced sandwich.
Okay, but what if it's soup? What if you have soup between 2 pieces of bread? Is that a sandwich?
Like a pot pie?
I'd have to see the sandwich.
Soup between 2 pieces of bread.
I'd have to see it.
Like a sandwich.
I'd have to see it.
Yeah, I'd have to see
it. Depends on how thick the soup is.
Oh, does it?
Well, it depends. It depends on a number of factors. I have to see it.
Yeah, all right, Ocean, is a pot pie a sandwich?
It's enough that you can
a pot pie is a sandwich.
How? No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's called a pot pie.
No, it's a pie.
You're just look. I'm getting tired of this intolerance.
Ocean.
I'm seeing so much bigotry in this chat about what is and is not a sandwich. You guys need to stop gatekeeping over the concept of a sandwich. It is absolutely ridiculous what this crap that's going on here. Like
I have had
you hold to some I'm just gonna let's put out there for a second. I just want all of you to know sandwichness is a social construct, and none of it there's no actual fucking sandwich.
Okay, all right. If a pot pie's a sandwich, then a goddamn apple pie is a sandwich then too.
Yes, an apple pie is a sandwich.
It counts from the early century fathers.
So now all pies are sandwiches.
No.
I already said that.
But hold on.
And if you're refusing this, you're just being an intolerant shit.
But Ocean, here's the thing. Here's the thing: is that like a solid like sandwich with like bread, you know, the like a meat or cheese in the middle with another layer of bread, is a solid foundation in which to build everything else on. But if you're building your foundation on bread and a liquid and then another piece of bread, it's just going to be moist. It's not a solid. It's like building your house on sand.
I don't need this foundation that you're talking about, all right? You don't ground our sandwichness in this colonialist view of bread and some meat in the middle in order to what is termed as a sandwich, okay? Like a sandwich is whatever is identified as a sandwich. We have the ability to choose what we identify as a sandwich. There's no objective sandwichness.
I deny soup sandwiches.
Yeah, me? Well, I have to.
You deny soup sandwiches, and guess what? No, hold on. You deny soup sandwiches, and what does that mean, right? You're denying it. That's it. That's just your opinion.
I think I got people back. I got people.
A sandwich? What is objectively a sandwich is a much more broad term than you fucking think it is, son.
The trans sandwich hatred is getting very palpable in here.
Listen, I'm here from the NISB, the New International Sandwich Board. Okay, and I'm here to tell you what a sandwich is.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't kill a soup sandwich myself, but if the government wants to do it, I'm okay with that.
Hey, I'm only 22 years old and I've only eaten P&J's, but I'm about to tell you about sandwiches.
Oh my! I think there's some serious.
You know what though? Like, I will say this too, and I mean this is kind of controversial, but like, I mean, like we have this idea of like the proto sandwich that was around like 2,000 years ago. But do you know that the sandwich actually came back to North America and was actually introduced to the native population there, and was spread its wisdom again into North America in the 1600s.
Oh yeah,
I've heard that theory, but I think that it is steeped in white bread privilege.
Oh really? No, actually, it's true. If you look in the history books, Mrs. Baird broke open a loaf and found some golden plates.
No, look, I know what you're talking about, and that whole religion has said that like toast is not that can't be considered a sandwich just because. It's
I just want to step back real quick. I want to step back real quick for a second, and I just want to say, it doesn't matter to me if my sandwich wants to be eaten. If I'm in the mood, it has to give itself up to me.
Oh.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah. That was a Steven Anderson reference. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
Oh God, I know.
I mean, if we want to see what the truth is, we have to go back to tradition, back to the early bakery fathers, back to I believe his name is Cruitonius. And he tells us in the 2nd century that it doesn't matter so much about which bread that you believe in, so long as that you believe in bread, and that bread is the direct result of the divine unseen baker.
Yeah, and Jim's got a good point too. Is I think that we argue too much over these details. Like, is the proper way to put condiments on a sandwich to sprinkle it or to fully douse it?
Well, it depends. If you're going to ask
or is it just a metaphorical sprinkling of condiments?
This is too damn good.
You should never fat shame.
Okay, I don't think that condiments are necessary for a sandwich.
Okay, Ocean.
Ocean, what? How can you be saved if you don't put condiments?
Ocean, if you don't believe what we do, where do you get your morals from? For instance, do you think?
I don't think that you get your morals from the Almighty Sandwich. I don't think that you're grounding your morals in the Almighty Sandwich.
We should ask Site 10 Sandwichgate about that, because he's the pre-sandwichitionist.
Ocean, what do you think about gang crepe?
If you've never eaten the best sandwich, you wouldn't know what a sandwich is.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you get your morality from if you think crepes are okay?
Is a crepe a sandwich? Don't fucking
Look,
say yes.
I think that
crepe was socially acceptable at one time, but we know now that it's no longer okay.
And you know what? We can have a discussion about whether or not that's okay. Like I don't accept crepes. I don't think that anybody should accept crepes.
Oh, now who's the bigot? Now who's the bigot? Yeah.
Bigoted to reject.
Oh, you were getting on us for denying soup sandwiches.
Yeah. You know what?
I don't know. But look, I think that people have their personal relationship with sandwiches, and that we can have. You could have that exploration on your own. There's this whole idea of like an objective sandwich or non-sandwich is a little ridiculous, and like as far as like what the individual accepts or rejects as a sandwich, it's up to the individual. But this idea that there's like an objective sandwich, I'm rejecting that. Like, that's just not true.
But the problem is, Ocean, is that
sandwiches are subjective.
But yeah, sandwiches are subjective. That's the whole point. Like there's certain kinds of sandwiches that I reject. There's certain kinds of sandwiches that you may reject. But I think that we should understand together that we are collectively defining what the sandwich is. It is a social construct.
You don't understand because your specific sandwich belief is putting your salvation in danger. And you know what we call heretics, right? We call them crackers.
I have a question. Who puts ketchup on hot dogs?
Yeah, and even worse, if you're a heretic with a bad attitude, you're a saltine.
Yeah. If you put ketchup on hot dogs, you're just wrong. That is
well, look, all right. So
are those little cracker sandwiches? Are they sandwiches like with the peanut butter or the cheese between them? Is that a sandwich?
They can do whatever they want, but it's an abomination, and they deserve to be stoned for it.
That's right. If you put ketchup on your hot dog, that's an abomination.
I think that all of you are just science denialists, but when it comes to like the sandwiches.
That's
sorry.
Yeah.
And
that's heresy. You're an apostate.
That also goes with their little ciabatta offset with their unnecessarily large air holes.
I'm highly offended at the abuse and bigotry put forward towards certain sandwiches and not others. You got.
No, I agree with you.
Take that up with God.
This is an outrage.
Take it up with the baker. You don't like the bread? Take it up with the baker.
Why do you guys have to sandwiches?
How about a breakfast sandwich, but you use flapjacks instead of bread? Is that a sandwich?
No.
That's a sandwich.
No, it's not, because it's not bread.
A biscuit sandwich.
It's still a sandwich.
It didn't evolve from a sandwich. It evolved alongside of it.
No, it didn't. No, pancakes evolved, and then somebody was like, "Oh, I'm really stoned. I want to put this in between it."
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, well, just because people believe it doesn't mean it's true.
What about rolling a breakfast sausage in a pancake?
No, that's not true either.
Okay,
I don't know. I just feel like you're rejecting pretty much everything that society has defined as a sandwich, and we need to understand that sandwiches can evolve, and that our understanding of sandwiches can evolve, and that it's a mature way of looking at sandwiches is more broad than your restricted, like absolutist, like the divine command view of what a sandwich is that hasn't been able to evolve across the centuries, so that we can have a greater understanding of what is and is not a sandwich.
Well,
I'm also frustrated that since you're a crepe apologist, with the kind of bullshit that you've been putting forward and trying to, you have to accept one kind of sandwich or not. Like, if just because I'm a Unitarian Universalist doesn't mean that I have to accept every single sandwich.
Well, you want to know what it is because there's so much variation in the recipes. That's what it is. You know, you read one recipe and it says one thing, and then you read another sandwich recipe.
There's multiple recipes, and that's fine. There's also multiple kinds of sandwiches in the world. This guy is arguing that there's only one divine sandwich, and that's bullshit. That's just absolutely that's completely antithetical to the experience of sandwiches across the world.
Well, I just want to say,
we're not counting tens of thousands of types of sandwich that existed before your sandwich.
I accept all sandwiches. I've told you this. There's like several different kinds of sandwiches across the world that we can accept as being sandwiches, but our understanding of the sandwich has evolved over the centuries. And you're holding to this one kind of sandwich is frustrating. Your argument, what you just said, it works against you, not me. So just you can take that argument and shove it where your sandwich don't shine.
But there are many sandwiches that are not eaten anywhere around the world, and in fact, people around the world recognize these sandwiches as not being real sandwiches.
Well, okay, so, but the other thing to keep in mind too is, like, listen, I agree with everything in the holy doctrine of the sandwich, but in my book of falafel, even though the book of falafel came out 700 years later, the doctrine put on there by the prophet speaks of the falafel as being the true sandwich.
Well, right, but which sandwich sat around for thousands of years and then finally decided to show up, impregnate himself with a sandwich, and then be a sandwich to save every sandwich?
I mean,
in the book of falafel, we don't believe that it was truly the divine sandwich that came back and was reborn. It was just a prophet to tell of the coming of falafel.
If you think that.
But these sandwiches.
Whoever's fucking with the lighter, stop fucking with the lighter.
But I mean, you can do that. But the sandwich historian, his name was is written in the Testimonium Flavi Muffin, and it actually says that it predates your sandwich, by the way. Josephus in there actually says that you're wrong.
I think that all this worship in this imaginary baker is unrational, and all of you need to find your true sandwich.
That's even worse bigotry. The sandwich is rational.
Look around you. Look at all the beautiful sandwiches. Look at all the beautiful bread loaves. Where do we get that from?
Like this idea, I don't understand how someone could be an asandwichist. And if you're like all the sandwiches that are around in the world, I agree with Jim on this one. This is like the one point where Jim and I can agree that even though we may disagree on which sandwich is the sandwich, that we both agree that sandwiches are in the world, and that it's important to acknowledge them as sandwiches.
All right, maybe
don't forget that like 90% of the world's population believe in the Great Sandwich. Okay, in some form or another. We're a minority position.
There's even the Magic Sandwich show. Like you guys need to understand this stuff.
I'm a sandwich evolutionist.
It's true. I mean, you ask a kid what they want.
Some people believe that the sandwich was created. Some people believe it came by evolution of different kinds of foods. But it's like I agree with the former rather than the latter. However, we all understand that the sandwich is there.
Well, which one of your great sandwich makers made the sandwich, though?
This is something that's
I believe in many sandwich makers, and I think I was clear on that.
But
what's with that?
But John, what the point is though is that well, like Ocean said, there are many sandwich makers, but we can prove demonstrably that children are born with the inherent belief in sandwiches. You ask any kid what they want to eat, they want a sandwich. Okay.
Some of them don't want the crust though, but
well, of course, some of them don't want the crust because they don't like, there is some negative baggage to some sandwiches.
No, of course.
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut rules.
I get the illusion, guys. I was a follower of the Great Baker, but prove to me that it was the Great Baker and not the kneader that created the sandwich.
You see, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
The kneader begets a baker, because why would you knead if you're not going to bake?
Wait, am I the only one wearing the official? Am I the only person that's wearing the religious hat?
What the hell?
Shit. I thought that we were dressing up for this. So the ceremonial dress is kind of weird. I know.
Hey, wait a minute. No, if he puts another piece of bread under his chin, will he be a sandwich? Will he be a sandwich? If he puts another piece of bread under your chin. He's sitting. Okay, he's a sandwich. Sokka's a sandwich. Sokka sandwich.
He's got to stand on it for it to be a sandwich.
There we go.
My wife just told me
that
the neighbors can
I am
see
with
me,
you.
So
I am my brother.
So,
I have to add that.
Do you feel crummy after that joke? That was the worst one. That was the worst joke of the night.
I'm embarrassing my wife apparently.
Hey, Sokka, when you're talking about the Book of Falafel, do they use like veal and like suckling pigs meat? I mean, I heard that you're
eating unclean animals.
I heard Sandwich Hamid, was into like really young meats.
There's no pork-based sandwiches. Those aren't true sandwiches.
No.
Oh. Okay.
Did a homo sandwich florentiensis ever exist?
He must worship Chala.
Are there people still watching this madness?
We should have been sleeping like an hour ago, and I think we've been talking sandwiches for 2.5.
There are only so many pastry puns you can make.
Oh man.
We need to end this stream with paste.
Yeah, we need to. All the talk of the sandwich philia and the young meats is very disturbing.
Yeah, I got to get off here and go retrobate.
Sandwich philia. Sandwich philia.
I've got some sandwich baiting to do myself.
Well, you know what? I hate it when they conflate regular sandwich eaters with sandwich philia.
Shannon's gonna watch this. She's just gonna start clicking around. She's gonna be like, "I'm so glad I left."
I did not know what I was starting when I was like, Shannon has to answer this.
She was just like, "I'm out," and good timing.
Well, you know what? In all fairness, she started with the cock meat sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Raging, you should excise this part out of the stream and make it its own video.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make some little cuts out of this. People need to know that this went on.
Oh, you're gonna Matt Powell us up a sandwich, hey?
Hey,
you're gonna edit us out.
Hey,
sorry, Ocean.
Real quick though, you know what the sandwich god said though? I just want it to be known, just as a sense of just to show, you know,
there are many sandwich gods.
Just to show my desire for fellowship with all of the believers, it is believed by the Supreme Baker that where 2 or more slices gather in my name, they're also
Oh man.
Oh, this was great, man. Yeah, people have to know about this. Who would have thought that we get a group of atheists, pagans? We have 2 pagans in the house.
I'm pretty sure I went on Catholic at one
point. Talking about sandwiches. And Catholics, it's hilarious.
I'm a sandwich Catholic.
I'm gonna have to go to sandwich confession after this.
Oh, you know what? You know what is needed though.
I'm gonna go tell Steve.
Hold on. Jim, ask me real quick. Whether or not I believe in sandwiches?
What is?
Whether or not I believe in sandwiches.
Do you believe in sandwiches, Ocean?
It depends on what you mean by sandwich.
God damn.
We don't have a sandwich producing a non-sandwich.
I look.
Oh my God.
I want to say that there is a metaphorical understanding of metaphorical substrate of the sandwich, of what true sandwichness is. But the real thing is you have to clean your kitchen.
What happens when you baptize the sandwich?
How much water you put into the bread?
Beta.
Here's the thing: is that imitating Jordan Peterson does sound like Kent Hovind. It's really hard to make it clear that it's. I tried to do it with a metaphorical sub sandwich, but
do you believe that sandwiches need to be baptized?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Maybe in gravy.
No. I think that it's more important to have an understanding of the holy sandwich.
Well, could you speak to what would the prototypical A sandwiches be?
I think that there's A sandwiches don't exist.
Oh, really? And why is that?
Exist. Why? Well, because I mean, if you live your life as if you live your life with a moral framework that assumes the sandwich, that is a cultural understanding of the sandwich, that is the cultural descendants of the sandwich. So you have, like, if you don't believe that the sandwich exists, you still are operating under the assumption that the sandwiches are available.
I take offense as an A sandwichist.
Oh my God.
Look, you just don't understand. Like, do you live in Western civilization? Western civilization was built upon the sandwich.
I just think that you're rehashing like the same type of stuff that was put forward by like Bredian archetypes, and it's not really an original concept.
I respect the Bredian archetypes, and I understand that a lot of what because you have to understand that there's the Bredian archetypes are valuable, but they were incomplete, and that there's this wonderful conversation being had by several of the subosophers in that kind of come together into making this one unified picture of an ordinate pumpernickel.
George, it just seems like you're really pushing this Freudian archetype of the hero, sandwich.
Right. But the Bredian archetype of the hero is that which is understood subconsciously by all humans.
Okay, I really
what all
really
comes together and makes the image that we have, this image, this instinct that we have that are drawn towards this bread image, and that is that is what we have built our civilization on top of.
I really hate to
everybody in order to have the understanding, the belief in the ultimate sandwich is useful for civilization.
So do you think that if that Matt Powell's going to come back and watch this, and if so, how much of this do you think he's going to watch?
I hope that he gets to this point, because this is the most important, the largest understanding of the sandwich that he can have.
Exactly.
So metaphorical understanding of
Matt needs to learn how to love all sandwiches.
You have to understand that there's substrate.
JB Ocean, it's not it's a metaphysical substrate. Is that what you're saying?
Metaphysical substrate.
Yes.
As the A sandwiches, as the A sandwiches in this conversation, I have to point out that if you believe in the sandwiches of the kneader, then you are A sandwiches towards the sandwiches of the baker. I only believe in one less sandwich head than you do.
But where do you get your sandwiches from?
From the society of sandwiches before us.
Okay, but what I don't understand is how do you believe that people like you are to have their ham shaped?
I just like lobster sandwiches.
Yeah, I mean it was clearly chance and luck that brought the sandwich to all of us.
Whoa.
Well, anyway, thank you for joining us, Jordan. Please check out his book, 12 Rules for Making Sandwiches.
Hey, I got one more question for Jordan Ocean. Okay, you say that A sandwiches still believe in the great sandwich. What about people with celiac disease? Do they still believe in the great sandwich? Huh?
Oh, of course. Yes. It's just because of their lack.
But they can't eat bread. They can't eat bread, though.
I understand, but their lack of connection with their lack of actual physical connection with the sandwich does not mean that they still coexist within the civilization that has a sandwich understanding.
Jordan, what is your idea of yeastus?
It depends. I'm not going to be pitted into this box of whether or not I am like a yeastist or not. Like that's what they want to do. They want to pin me down into one group or the other, and that's not how I function.
I mean, sometimes
I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play their game. I'm not going to play your game.
Sometimes you just have to take these people with these false beliefs, get them in a corner, and bag it.
Bag it.
Yeah. Wow.
What do you think about homobredules? Do you think they should be killed?
I think they should go cautious to themselves.
Not killed.
See, you need to find your sandwichism and realize that all sandwiches are sandwiches and stop with this hate speech.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep. Until somebody breaks open a biscuit and puts gravy on it, and then we're fighting.
It's these beliefs and these imaginary sandwiches that leads to all this division. Love your fellow sandwich.
I'm all for homo sandwich.
I know that sandwiches exist because it. I mean, yeast is in me.
It's been embedded in your heart.
I let him in. I mean,
would you maybe say that yeastus has infected you?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how I can hide that it not be inoculation. I mean, divine inoculation is something that very few people get to experience, and it's wonderful.
A yeastus infection, yes.
Yeah, but it's a yeastus infection of the heart. Like it's so difficult to explain.
Well, your heart's in a weird place.
Jim, they have sandwichicillin for that.
Oh, they do? Well, I
mean, there's medicine.
Maybe you need it, but I don't.
Watch your mouth, sandwich bait.
Well, you want to know something? Here's more proof of that there's the great eternal sandwich. Yeast is everywhere. It's all around us. It's in the air. Huh? There you go. Checkmate.
Yeah, but can you prove that the yeast was made by some fictional baker being.
I take exception to your use of the word fictional, mostly because it's not a word.
I've never seen the baker.
If we turn to the holy text and you turn with me to Scone 3:16, we can see exactly what is going on here.
I don't believe in the apocryphal books.
Apocryphal. Apocryphal. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're probably one of those little funny tea cakes, aren't you?
Hey, is pepperoni bread a sandwich?
No.
Don't they give all the answers in the Revelation?
In Revelation, I don't know. Oh yeah, that's where everybody will cut off their bread but not die. Oh no, wait, that was
But only 144,000 sandwiches are gonna.
Breads will roll.
Are gonna get to.
You guys are forgetting that Eustace came not to change the law, and you just really need to listen. If you guys are going to follow this Eustace character, at least, be Eustace.
Be Eustace. What would Eustace do?
Yeah, what would Eustace do? Because this sandwich bigotry is destroying me.
We fucking built like 6 religions in this conversation.
Yeah. I'm just like, how long can we continue this?
Can you imagine Eustace on the 25th of December?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yep.
Like, who'd be pawning that off on? Old Saint Sandwich again?
You're ignoring all the traditions before. Yeast was originally risen on the Yule, and you need to recognize.
Look, all of those celebrations were originally about cannolis. They were just adopted into the sandwich celebration.
Yeah, well, those heathen paninis, they didn't know what they were talking about.
I know the Sumerians created sandwiches over 6,000 years ago, but yeast was.
Are you talking about Saint Panini of Antioch?
Sandwich, and it's like it's a brand new thing now, man.
Panini.
He's just panini.
He came with not just a piece of bread, but with a carving knife.
I'm sitting here like, how do I get Anunnaki into sandwiches here?
Oh, I thought they were going to go with Jesus banana bread.
He came not to bring peace, but a sandwich.
Right.
No, with bread in one hand and a bread knife in the other.
Yep.
Oh, came not to bring peace, but a bun.
Right.
He came to separate every sandwich against its cousin. Every hot dog sandwich.
And to the
in order
Canaanite
to increase
woman,
understanding.
If you go into Matthew 5:17, is that?
To the Canaanite woman, Jesus said, "What was it? We do not give the children's bread to the dogs."
You remember when Yesus fed 5,000 people with the Yesus fed 5,000 people fish sandwiches with just one loaf of bread and one fish?
Crustology. It's got some
I think Shannon Q established that those were tacos and not sandwiches.
Well, yeah, well.
Tacos are not sandwiches.
Sometimes if you look into the history of these events, you find that where there's a lot of discussion of sandwiches, tacos are actually there.
And
there's a lot of archaeological evidence of that a lot of this sandwich talk actually is tacos.
And there's sources beyond just the divine book of sandwiches too. Like Josephus talks about sandwiches as well.
Those books are influenced by tacos.
But like, if you look at people like Shannon, we have people who are here, 2,000 years after the fact that have no idea what's going on, and so they have to engage in these extreme apologetics to
I'll tell you what. The most touching thing I remember is when Jesus said, or Eustace said, "Let he is who is without sin cast the first scone." That's
Yes, that's gold. That's gold. That's good stuff. Oh man, why didn't I think of that?
How are we still coming up with this shit?
I don't know, but we're about to get attacked by the breadites.
Remember what he said? Remember when God sent them after the breadites, and he said, "Cut all the calzones open with swords."
Oh my gosh.
That was really strange, especially the part where David comes back with like about 30,000 hot pockets.
Oh man. Remember when?
This is great, man. Oh,
Remember when Moses parted the ranch dressing at the salad bar?
Oh no, that was Augustus Caesar. Yeah, I remember that. The bread style.
the breadsigus.
Yeah.
They wandered 40 years in the food court.
He said, "Pharaoh, let my people go."
And Satan tempted Eustace for 40 days with the perfect sandwich.
40 days.
You guys realize
That's when Jesus said that man cannot live on bread alone.
Did you guys ever read about the sandwich that spun within a sandwich up in the sky? I think it's in Ezekiel.
No,
Yeah,
you're talking about
I believe I remember hearing something about that. That was the
It spun within itself, and there were shiny sandwiches that were like all over, and a sandwich spun within a sandwich. It was some crazy high-tech sandwich shit.
Well, you know, the breadites, if I went and I looked through the food court and I could find no archaeological evidence of the breadites being there for 40 years.
Well, actually, there was some recently found. They found some pottery that had some inscriptions that referred back to the bagel on the mount.
What about
Jim's coming all night with this shit, man.
Oh, right.
Oh, I'm sitting here trying to
bagel
think.
on the mount.
I mean,
I got nothing.
we got good shit here, man. I could write a book about it. Messenger Reveals wants me to write a book. This is a book right here.
Wait, do not continue.
I was going to modify and say the Father, the bun, and the I didn't say the Holy Spirit, but I was going to say the Holy brioche. But
The Holy Toast.
Well, what came first?
You said the father of the bun and the. God damn it! You already made that joke, and it was really good.
Yeah, I did. And the Holy Toast.
Holy
Toast.
Toast.
Yeah, the Holy Toast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeast or bread?
Easter bread.
Chicken or the egg?
Yeah, the Easter bread. You
Celebration of Easter.
Yeah.
Hey, if somebody makes a sandwich and on the bottom they use white bread and on the top they use like rye bread, are we supposed to stone them?
I mean, these imaginary fictitious tales. Eustace is yeast, and
That's
you know,
just you don't need
Eustace
to
rose.
imaginary
I mean,
fictitious.
all yeast
only if they
rises.
don't say you.
All yeast rises, people.
Yeah, you could actually have mixed bread sandwiches now because that was under the old condiment.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my god.
Oh man.
That is too good.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to just break that one out and put it on its own.
It's under the old condiment.
Shannon Q on Twitter. Check this out.
Oh wow.
Just be like, yeah, we dropped the sandwich topic pretty quickly after you left. But it went on to more intelligent conversation.
Yeah, Shannon Q, check out the philosophy we were talking about after you left, man. It got really deep.
Way deep. Too deep.
But it rose to better. Sorry, fuck it.
He was there. You almost had that one.
I'm a better sandwiches now.
We rose to a higher understanding.
And we can only do it through accepting Jesus crushed into our hearts.
That just sounds wrong as fuck, man. Like this. Oh god.
I mean, yeah, when you use other names, it sounds fucking weird. But
remember when Eustace rubbed mustard in the blind man's eyes and made him see again?
Have you?
His name wasn't Yeastus. It was Yahasha Toast.
You remember when Yeastus got angry because he couldn't put an olive on a sandwich, and he cursed the olive tree, but it was out of season, and he didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember when he threw? Remember when Yeastus threw the soup sandwich makers out of the subway?
To the what?
It took me a minute, and then I got there.
Oh man!
Too much fun. I think this is a one-of-a-kind discussion. We can honestly say that.
Oh yeah, well, this competition will never be had again. I'm very certain of that.
It started, stopped here.
Jim, I just linked in the side chat is Dong Osteen, in which they take Joel Osteen quotes and replace the word God with your dick.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
And let's see. So here's the first thing that posted 8 hours ago. Those things you're believing for, you've never been closer than right now. It's at hand. Quit telling yourself that it's way off in the distance.
No.
Your dick is saying you're closer than you think.
Oh my God. Wow. That's awesome.
Get your fire back. Put a smile on your face. Start moving forward. You thought it was over and done. You thought it was over and done, but your dick has a new beginning, a new relationship, a new dream, something more rewarding than you've ever imagined.
Oh, this is brilliant. Who did this shit?
You remember
This is the bot Twitter account that keeps taking Joel Osteen quotes and just reposting them, replacing God with your dick, or Jesus with your dick. Like invite your dick into your heart.
Does anybody remember the account where Yeastus Crust came upon a mourning family and they said that their son had died, and in fact it was the smell was so strong everybody knew what it was, and he said, "Arise, sourdough," and he poured his yeast.
All right, I wasn't going to read any more of these, but I just found one that was really good. Your dick doesn't send trouble, but he allows things to happen. And while we may not understand it, we may not understand it, but I have never come out of a scary place without getting better. The scary places give me a greater trust in your dick.
It just gets better and better. Oh my God, it's like levels. Every one of them has levels.
Hey, Shannon says she gets dick pics. You need to send her a quote from that.
Man, just imagine, like most people aren't far off from worshiping an invisible dick.
You guys ever read about when Yeastus pushed his buddy's sandwich off the roof and he died, and then he put the sandwich back together?
I think that's Sandwich Dumpty.
I think that's in the Secret Gospel of Mark.
Yeah, there was like the Sandwich Apocrypha or something.
That's when Yeastus was having spent the night with a young hot pocket.
Oh no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
That's
all that potential.
Yeah, that's in the Secret Gospel.
Yeastus Crust was pure. He rose into everyone. Nobody rose into him.
It could have
been not according to the letter that contains the Secret Gospel. There's a hot
well,
pocket.
Yeah, well, whatever. They can just, I don't know.
Well,
did you ever go to a supermarket and then there's somebody standing there at one of the end of the aisles and trying to push their idea of sandwiches on you and giving you these little sandwiches and toothpicks and trying to make sure that their sandwich is the right sandwich? I mean, I hate that.
No, but around December, they always got these little red pots, taking donations for sandwiches.
Wow. So in the Last Supper,
I think it was the Salvation Sandwich Army.
Instead of the Last Supper, did they have the Last Dinner roll?
Yeah.
I remember the story of Yeastus on the cross looking down at his mom and saying, "This sandwich is now your son." I can't get over that story. It affected me so much.
Well,
Guys, Father, why have you forsaken me?
I was working on that in my head and I couldn't get to it.
Yep.
Oh shit!
Oh my.
I think it's running out of steam though.
Yes.
Unto your pans I condemn my buns. Or commend, sorry, commend.
And Jim's like, hold my beer. I got this all night.
Hey, how about that? Did anybody see the Mel Gibson movie, The Passion of the Crust?
Oh, wow.
I take offense to that movie.
How dare you insult Jesus Christ like that? That is just...
I highly take offense to that movie. It's anti-sandwich, and I don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's not kosher.
Our Father who art in leaven.
Wow. Wow.
I just got back. I can't believe this is still going.
It's with new shit too. Like it keeps. This is there. There's a few that we're recycling, but new ones keep coming up. Like, why haven't we been doing that one yet?
My next MMA video is definitely her morning sandwich routine. We're going there.
Oh my god.
Oh brother.
I was like, I'm gonna stop in here for like 30 minutes.
Dude, I was like, I'm gonna be on for like 2 hours and go to bed. You know, and
we're still talking about fucking bread.
It started off so constructive. I got such good criticisms and advice, and yeah, we're talking about yeastus for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's been no less than 2 hours that we've been talking about fucking.
Has it really been that long we've been doing this?
Yeah,
I'm gonna time it, dude.
Right, it's like constructive, serious conversation about like really in-depth topics. Cue 2 hours of bread puns.
This is gonna
and raging
go down in some YouTube history right here.
on,
man.